Okay, we have a review of War of the Sontaurans after this, and also we now have 3,000 subscribers. I'm excited about this. Thank you so much, all of you who subscribe to this channel. Hello out there, I'm the Oldest Nerd, and on this particular episode of Doctor Who, FLUX, War of the Sontaurans. Now, we know a good bit about the Sontaurans. They are warlike. They don't care if they win or lose, but they want to die in battle, and that is all you really need to know about them. They have a opening in the back of their heads, which makes them very vulnerable. You can do anything, including just stick them with a stick or hit them with a pan, and it can put them out of commission. And the Doctor finds herself in a place where there is an army of hundreds of thousands that are going up against the British Army in the Crimean War. There's not explained exactly what happened to the TARDIS. It was up outside of the shield that was around Earth. So when the flux hit the TARDIS, it did probably some damage to it, sent it to Earth during that particular time frame, and Yaz and Dan immediately phase out, leaving the Doctor by herself to meet Mary Seacombe, who was an actual historical figure who was kind of the Florence Nightingale of the Crimean War. A little bit of exposition created by her of the hospital that she builds, which is the British Hotel, and some other interesting little things there. Meanwhile, we know that Yaz has been sent to a place called the Temple of Atropos. We don't know anything about it, and even by the end of the episode, very little is known about it. It has some connection with Swarm. Apparently, he had been involved in this place sometime before. We also see Vendor and Yaz end up in this place, and that is where you kind of wonder how they're ever going to get back together. As the Doctor tries to go back to the TARDIS to rescue her compatriots, there are no doors. If you recall last week, when the doors were appearing in odd places, they disappeared completely. So armed with nothing but her wits and a sonic screwdriver and the simple nature of the Sontaurans, she was fairly successful. At any rate, another very action-filled story. There's a lot of running around. There's a lot of the Doctor. And this is something that we have, once again, criticized in a lot of previous episodes and previous seasons of Doctor Who, in that the Doctor is playing a background figure. This case, it is not. She's right at the middle of just about everything. There are some cutaways to see what are happening to the companions, but it is very much the Doctor's episode, and she has gone face to face with the Sontaran leader. We find out what has happened to Vendor, who was on the space station observation post. We find out what's happened to Swarm, and we've also found out what the Sontaurans were doing while the followers of Calvinista were trying to protect the Earth. So we see everybody in this, but they do not take up so much screen time that it takes the emphasis away from the Doctor, and that's a very good thing. So we leave this episode with still some questions as to what it is about the Temple of Atropos that's so important, how they have a way of controlling time. Could this have something to do with the Timeless Child storyline, in that the Doctor came from this group before she ended up on Gallifrey. So that's a question that comes to mind right now. We also want to know what Swarm did, and it had something to do with the Doctor's exile as the Timeless Child and then Gallifrey, or if this is something in one of her previous lives from Gallifrey that she doesn't remember. So a number of questions are still there, but we're getting little answers along the way. So you can see that even in the very beginning, it's starting to pull itself together. It seems to be well written, well crafted. Of course, the special effects are fantastic. The thousands of soldiers on both sides were well represented. They have the same thing in the loading docks where in Liverpool, where they are tricking in the Sontaurans ships and things like that, and that's also very well done. So some clever dialogue. The only thing is that, I mentioned last time it's somewhat difficult to understand the Liverpudlian accent. And apparently whoever was doing the closed captioning on this couldn't make it out either, because most of the captions were very muddled. That could be a transmission problem, or it could be that someone just didn't type so well on a live bit. At any rate, another capital effort by the team doing Doctor Who for episode 2 of the Flux. It redoubles my excitement about it going on to the other 4 episodes yet to come. So I'd like to know what you think about it. Please put it in the comments. Once again, many thanks for 3,000 subscribers. It's taken a while to get there, and while in YouTube terms it's no big deal, it's a great deal to me, and I appreciate every single one of you who have joined this channel. It is a big moral victory for me, and so I thank you for that. However, we'd like to see that grow continually, and so you can subscribe without any cost or obligation to you by just clicking on the Oldest Nerd logo as it appears at the end of this video. And until next time, don't go far.